What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chaz C. Note Roper, and we are here for Amplifier Community Connection event. This is our last event of the year, and we had to go out with a bang, man. We had to go out. We had to go across the waters with this one, because a lot of times we do a lot of things domestically, but I want to make sure we get that international knowledge as well. So I had to bring a good friend of mine who hails from Kentucky. I'm gonna let him tell you his story, but he's worked with everybody. The best thing that I say when it comes to TC is you might want to ask him who he hasn't worked with instead of asking him who he has worked with. I think the list of people who he hasn't worked with is shorter than the list of people who he has worked with. So none other than my good brother Tiyon TC Mac. What's up, my brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm well, man. How was your flight, man?
Yeah, it was cool. I had first class. I wasn't tripping about
Hey
it.
man, we try to treat you, we try to keep up with the Joneses, man. I know they don't fly you all across these places in coach to come write these hit records you got going on.
That's true.
So listen, man, I want to give the Milwaukee music and the world music community, because everybody watching us live on streaming. We appreciate everybody that's streaming this, watching us live. But we got something special for you later on in the stream too. We're gonna do something different that we normally don't do. We can do that because we got T with us today. I want to walk into the journey. So you were born in Kentucky, right? You from
Right.
Kentucky. What part of Kentucky?
Paris, Kentucky.
Paris, Kentucky. Where is
Yeah,
that close to?
small town. By Lexington.
Lexington, by Lex. And growing up, man, did you grow up in church? How was music an important, integral part of your life, man?
Well, I think music has always been a part of my family in some kind of way. Um, Church is definitely like the focal point for usually all black people, you know what I'm saying? So my family is rooted into the church, but also me learning later on that, music has been always sent down to us from slave days.
Right.
So from the slave masters to the slaves, which were my descendants, like they taught them how to play the piano to entertain their guests. So from there, like music has always been in our family heavy.
Dope, man. So the young TC, man, when did you realize you had a gift when it come to writing, bro?
I never wanted to write.
Right.
Honestly, I never wanted to write. I just wanted to sing. I just wanted to be a singer. I'm like, I'm gonna sing these songs. I'm gonna kill it. But it never really registered to me that I wanted to be a songwriter until I was working with this producer named Nas 550, and he used to just remake all of these like songs for me. And a lot of people knew me as a cover artist. Like anything that you could think of, I was just covering it. So one day he was just like, you have an amazing gift. You rearrange these songs to make it sound like you, but you're not writing none of the records. So listen, I'm done doing covers for you. So I'll send you some tracks and you can, write every song that you write. I'll do whatever cover you want. And that's how I started.
That's what's up, man. And that spot. How old were you around this time?
I think I was a teen, 13, 14.
Youngster, youngster, still
Yeah.
in school, middle school,
Yeah.
13, 14. That's high school, middle school age.
Yeah.
Word. Now, I want to tell the story of how I came across TC, right? So there was this. A lot of y'all are maybe too young, so y'all may not be familiar with this. But there was a platform called MySpace, and on MySpace, it allowed you to leave voice memos. This
It
was
was
prior.
Vine.
Huh?
The voice memos was called like Vine or something.
Right. So you were able to leave voice memo. We've done this record. We did this record. My sister Shay, myself, Rico Love, and the Corner Boys. We did this song called "I Wish You Loved Me." Right. For the art, we did the demo first, and for some reason TC was the master at getting the demos. I'm like, how the hell he be getting the demos? So he got the Lachey version of the song. Nobody had the Lachey version besides us. But somehow TC, I think he should be the person back in the day.
I wasn't
that
hacking
be like,
nobody's computer. I wasn't doing. My stuff was hacked all the time though, but I wouldn't.
you get an email and they be like, this is Brian Michael Cox. Can you send me your songs?
That's true.
They used to have it all the time.
Yeah,
Remember
they
that?
were like, "How do you got
How do you
this?"
get right? But anyway, TC must have he got the Lachey version of the song. This was before it actually came out on Tanisha Kelly. And on my MySpace page, you was able to leave a voicemail type of thing. So on my voicemail, I hear somebody singing the hell out of the song, and I'm like, So we're actually in the studio. So I say, Reek, D-Town, P, y'all come. Shay, listen to this. And Rico was like, who is that going crazy on the song? So I was like, this is artist TC. He was like, man, he a problem. Now this happened. I'm gonna use years. These are not the correct years, but just to give you how long of the in between it was. So let's say this was 2000. So I'm in the studio. So me and TC end up exchanging information and talking like via text message or something. So we're in Atlanta. This was maybe 2004. We're in Atlanta. We're at the studio called the Artist Factory. And we're in there working with the artists from Def Jam or something.
It was 2007, 8, because I went to Atlanta like 2007, 8.
Okay, so that's what it was.
I was still in school.
So it was maybe 2007. Okay. So I'm in the studio and I hear this voice. Somebody talking. TC talking like, hey, blah, 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 blah. He got a voice. You going to know it's him. So I'm like, but I never met the man in my life. So I hear the voice, hey, blah, 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 blah. I say, yo, bro, what's your name? Are you TC? He like, yeah. I'm like, man, I'm Chad, bro. We like, oh, what's up? So we end up hugging like we knew each other for 50 years. But I end up meeting him in the studio on a humbug. Just on some random. He was in a session with an artist, and we were in a session with a whole other artist in another room. And then from that moment, I'm like, dog, give me your number. You gotta come by the crib, and we start working. And literally from that moment, we still work. I think we just did a record last week or something, right? One of your joints. So from that moment on, all the way to now, we've been working and back and forth. But
I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Like I was like fresh in the music industry.
Right.
And I met Rico Love with you that day because y'all was in the A room.
A room, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, like Rico Love is in there. That's crazy. Like I love dude.
I remember that vividly, man. But literally, that started our business, our friendship. This is like my little brother, man. And this just started from there on. We just been doing everything ever since. And I tell that story because a lot of times we do not take our social media, the gift of, we'll use it for the wrong purpose, but we don't use it for the gift of social media. And I think me and TC have made a lot of money together. And had we not taken that gift of social media and using it in a positive way, he still was going to get the records he got done. I still was going to get the ones I got done. But the thing is, the collaborative effort and the things that we've done, I could think of records that changed, that done some changing things in the industry that the people, we would go places, they were like, yo, I heard that such and such record, that Brandy record y'all did or whatever. So I say this story because I want people to understand the importance of using the social media for your benefit. You can make a lot of connections, lifetime connections. You can make a lot of revenue off of it as well. So make sure you take it just that serious. Let's get back to your story, T. So you moved to the A. Who was the first group, first writers, producers, and everything you worked with?
Okay, so I was a huge fan of The Clutch.
The Clutch, yep.
So,
Carrie Hilson,
Candace
JQ,
Nelson, JQ, Balewa,
yep.
And Ezekiel.
Yeah.
So anything that they did, I was just covering it, And so I would send it to Candace. I would send it to Carrie Hilson. I did this song that she came out with. If you're saying it, and she I could put it down, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So Carrie heard that and she was like, "How the hell? Like, how did you get the instrumental?" And I'm like, "My boy remade it." So that's how great he was too. Mm-hmm. So me remaking these songs and then actually sending them to the artists. The artists were actually listening to my stuff, and this is before like the streaming era. So I had a page like SoundClick, and I was getting like almost 1 million views, like streams per month, just off of that. You know what I'm saying? So my social media, I was at the beginning of social media and doing covers and mashups and taking one song from another beat and putting another song to it and different stuff like that, or doing remixes of the original artist and duetting it. Like, I was one of the first people, like, putting stuff out there like that. So I think that's what kind of, like, catapulted me into, like, the industry, because people was like, you that little nigga from on such and such. Right. Can I say that? Can I? No, I can't. You the little dude from from MySpace. You the one from YouTube. You the one at that time. visibility wasn't really a thing for like
Right.
songwriters and
Absolutely.
stuff.
You were behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but because I was getting demos and different stuff like that, I started taking into account the people that were behind the artist.
Absolutely.
And so I started doing my research, like LaShawn and Kanisha Pratt, people that work with Rodney, Anisha, A Plus,
Yep.
all of them. Like I was such big fans of all of those. So I reached out to people that I admired and that I looked up to.
Absolutely, man. And the crazy part, what y'all don't know, what part he forgot to tell y'all, the way he was recording, he would use the left side of the headphones
Yeah.
and record the songs. But you couldn't tell because however he mixed it, it would sound so crispy. It was like he was in a big boy studio. The man, we actually, I was like, man, how you recording these records? And he told me the process. I'm like, man, that's amazing. I
Listen,
could never.
the right side of your headphones, like if you got some headphones, some cheap headphones, you sing da 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 da. It make it sound like you're stuffed up, but it will go in as a as a microphone.
Yeah.
So I was recording like that and putting it in like out there, and people was like, "Oh, he sounds stuffed up." And I'm like, "Look, if y'all knew that the mic was under like this while I was recording, you know what I'm saying?" So you gotta excuse my earlier stuff, but
for
know,
sure.
I did what I had to do to make sure that I put my stuff out there and became visible. And just from me just putting stuff online, that's when managers, producers, and all kinds of people start hitting me up.
So now you shoot to Atlanta to start working. The group I met you was working with was called Full Scale, Full Circle,
Yes, full scale.
Full Scale.
Yes.
Yeah, it was you, Infinity,
And DJ Camper.
DJ Camper, right? And the DJ big as ever now, man. He doing everybody's stuff.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's always been
he
amazing.
always been like that.
But we was the young ones out of like everybody, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so me and DJ, we would like he would send me beats and be like, "Yo, TC, like kill this," and then I'll just record it on my little gateway computer. I advanced and I got me a little headset. So, I started sounding a little extra crispy then after that. I'm like, oh, I'm out here killing them. And so me and DJ would just send records back and forth and just like sing and do different things. And we actually came out to Atlanta at the same time because we were all a group. It was three of us, like you said, Infinity, me and DJ. And we was just working and just working every day, literally.
Yeah, man. Y'all had some joints too, man. So then, as you working with Infinity in Full Scale, what was the next step to catapult you into, like the actual? Because I know you were working with artists, but what catapulted you to the next phase of your career from there?
I will say when I first moved to Atlanta, I was kind of just like winging it. I didn't have the best support because like my family was real big on like, if you graduate, you go straight to college, you get, the regular job, you work a 9 to 5 and you have something to show for yourself. And for me, it's always been singing. And so my family wasn't really like supportive of that. But I know that it came from just a loving place of them wanting me to do great things, and they just felt like that's the route to be great.
Right.
And so when I jumped out, like I had a lot of backlash from it and just all kinds of stuff from
Right.
the fam, and I was willing to be homeless. I was willing to like really do whatever I had to do to actually get my music out there. And I was sleeping on people's floors, just going to the studio. I didn't have money to eat with, And so I started working with this artist named Ashley. She was an independent artist. And when I started going over there, I started vocal producing her, and we started creating this great music. And my first single that was supposed to come out was actually her and a record with Nicki Minaj. So Nicki got on the record, and that was like my first time like, oh my God, I'm about to have a record come out. And then from there, I was working with Sounds, and we did a song with Chili from TLC. And that was another record that was supposed to come out, but they never came out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh shoot, I'm about to get it, but it ain't happening.
Right.
But the songs are out there. But I think when I actually moved into Atlanta and I started navigating in different circles instead of just one, because I was so with the team.
Right.
I also had to have like a mindset of I need to work with everybody too.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because like when you do these deals with producers and y'all team and stuff like that, as a writer, if you're just working with that team, you're not really expanding your creativity.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's good to work with different producers also as they're writing with
Working
different writers, you
right,
know?
right.
So once I started like really pushing myself to be out there to actually write with different people, that's when a lot of things started happening for me.
Absolutely.
And then also aligning with people that actually see the potential in you. And it's not like, oh, well, that demo, I don't think we shouldn't send that to such and such, or nah, I don't know about that one. It's like, dang, how do you not know if you ain't gonna play it for them? You know what I'm saying?
At least let them say no.
Yeah, let
Right.
them say. That's how my first manager was, and so I knew that I didn't really have the support, so I knew I had to go outwards and really like work with everybody that I could to kind of like put my talent out there and let people really know, aside from just online. And once I did that, I feel like things started like really changing in my career, you know.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
So
That's
and
the
that's
key.
how we connected.
Yep.
You know, and I will say like when I moved to Atlanta, I was at that point where it was like nothing is sticking. Like I got all these songs that's about to come out, they're not coming out. I don't even know if this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Absolutely.
And when you homeless and you just sleeping on everybody's floor and you just going to work every day and you can't really pay for your food and everybody's like, I got you, TCE. Oh, I got you. You start kind of feeling like, man, I'm like maybe I'm not supposed to do this, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's why I always like appreciate you because like when we started working, you and your wife like took me in.
Yes.
And y'all didn't have to do that, you know, because we was newly getting to know each other and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. But y'all saw like young talent, and y'all was just like, you know what, you can live here. And I'm like, what? You know, you can live here. I'm just like, I felt uncomfortable a little bit. But, you know, I also felt like, wow, I trust them. And you've been one of like the main people in my life that's just always been consistent and just always looking out for me. And I always tell people that like you've done great things in the industry, engineering and writing and vocal producing and stuff like that. But aside from that, you're actually a really great person.
Appreciate that, brother.
And that's what I model myself after. You know what I'm saying? Is being
Absolutely.
good to the people that's after me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for that. I
Man,
really
it's all
appreciate
love,
you.
bro. Man, listen, you gotta know when it's your time to do stuff for people and know what the opportunity is. The opportunity for me was to be able to help somebody, and I always felt like when you know how our house was. We had all these bedrooms, nice house, everything. We had every artist. I mean, some of
Listen,
these people.
everybody
I'm
was
talking
up
about
in
some of
there.
these people are famous as ever now. Like they became the biggest of this and that. They on TV and on films. They all stay. You would come to my house. It was like Motown. Literally, that's what it was. And some of them was kids at the time. Then now they grown. Like it was crazy how many people came through that house. And we didn't ask nobody for a dime. We just wanted to make sure that what we had, everybody had the opportunity, and we had a studio in the house.
Yeah, like that's the crazy thing about it is that you was one of those people that was like, you never asked me for rent.
Nah.
You never asked me to put groceries in the thing, and I'm just like, but you know, I was young, so I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that they are, you know, really looking out for me. So, you know, like when I got signed, the first person I even thought about was you and Keisha.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you know, just to be like, look, here's something. Thank you so much for just looking out for me, because those moments were very beneficial to me as a person, and
Absolutely.
like being able to get up and work and having somewhere to lay my head. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Right.
that really helps with the creative process. So, you know, I do feel like you're one of the key people that is the reason why I'm where I'm at.
Well, when they put you in the Hall of Fame, just let the world know. No, I'm just playing.
Well, I always let it know. You know,
No, I'm
that's
joking.
one thing about me.
That's a
Like
fact.
I've never been
That's
a
a fact.
person that
That's
will
a
never
fact.
tell people that, look, this person looked out for me, or I love this person, I'm inspired by this person.
Absolutely.
I do this. Like I give everybody their
That-
flowers, and I've always been like that.
That's a fact, because I was in L.A. by myself on some other stuff, and dude was like, "Oh, you see no?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, bro?" He's like, "Aren't you TC brother?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I just saw him in Vegas or somewhere. He was just talking about you." And this was like out the blue, like just some random. So what you're saying is absolutely true, bro. I think what people also need to understand is when people are genuinely there for you, there isn't anything attached to it. There's just genuine, I'm just doing it for you. Because the way I look at stuff is, if I bless you, there's going to be somebody bigger than you that blesses me, and so on and so forth. So that's how me and my wife, that's how we look at things. We don't
Absolutely.
do stuff for stuff. We do it. It's about the intention.
You won't know. Like I'm the one saying it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, I would've never told- I would've
Everybody
never told-
Everybody
Yeah.
ain't gonna really say that, but I'm gonna
Right.
say it because
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed
Yeah.
from where I came from.
Absolutely.
I know that I slept on the floor, but that's a testimony to where you can go to where you get to. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And everybody has a journey, and I feel like if you're transparent, you can inspire other people
Yep.
to get to where they need to get to in life, just off of faith and just believing in your talent.
And that's why your fan base is what it is. Because I remember before YouTube was big, I was trying to explain to them. We had a writing team. Me, Lachey, and TC had a writing team called the
Connect,
Connects, right? So I was trying to be innovative. I was the oldest of all of us, and I'm like, bro, we need to do our own TV thing. Now, mind you, we didn't have cameras and stuff, so we would record. We would have my computer, and we would be in the studio, and I would turn the record button on the iMovie or something
While I'm recording.
while he was recording,
Absolutely.
and I would record our sessions. So that was like the first. And then TC, I didn't have YouTube. TC did. We didn't know nothing about monetization. We didn't know nothing about that. If we didn't know that, then we'd be worth $400 million right now.
Absolutely.
Because we was doing it way before anybody behind the scenes in the studio. We was doing it. We'd be in the studio with Jacob. We record, like when we do the commercial with Jacob, we record that like literally off of the laptop. So it'd be just sitting in the corner angled. And then every now and then you'll see me go look, and then I go move it over to the side so you can look and see the person in the booth. Like that's what we were
it's
doing.
crazy.
This was back
Yeah.
in like 2000.
And you know, before monetization, I was actually one of the first people to be monetized.
Absolutely.
But because
it was covers.
yeah, well, the thing is like when I signed to Sony, I was like, oh, I can't do the monetization. And that was like my biggest
Your biggest thing, yep.
like I should have jumped on it because that is like totally different from my deal that I did with Sony.
Right.
That's just off of your plays and different stuff that you get on YouTube. I would
yeah.
have racked it, man.
Man, listen. If we knew better,
I've
we'd
been
do
had the deal. I've been had the YouTube deal in 09, 08.
Right, before it was popping.
Before, yeah.
Yep,
But
yep.
I was so scared to do it, and I didn't really know business like
Business,
that, too,
absolutely.
to be honest with you, yeah.
And absolutely, and that makes sense, man. One thing you gotta always, when you're quote unquote the innovator of something, when you're doing something for the first time and you trying stuff out, you don't know what's gonna work and what's not gonna work. If I'd have knew as much money and stuff we was making when we was doing something, I'd have had the high quality cameras we got here today. I'd have had the joints at the crib. We just didn't know what we were doing. We were just trying to do it. I go back and look to this day.
It's just
at the
really the
archives.
love.
It
We just had the
literally-
love for,
right.
and we wanted to show people like what we doing. But I was already familiar because I was the young one, so I'm like, I'm
owned
putting everything online. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm doing the iStreams. I'm doing, you remember iStream? Like, I'm doing all of that stuff. Like, so I've always been like tech heavy as far as like,
Absolutely.
online because that's what actually got me where I'm at.
You the one convinced me to get on Instagram and all. I wasn't trying to do nothing, man. I was like, I'm from the back in the day, like no face, no case. That's how I was. So, and TC was trying to, man, you tripping, man. You need to do this, you need to do that. So, your first placement. Talk us through your first placement, man. Because I want the inspiration to people to understand the process of how you because I heard the record with Nicki Minaj. You played it for me.
Yeah.
I heard like all the records he's talking about. I heard the Chili record that you did with Sound. I heard them that the world never got the opportunity to hear until they
Well,
got
they play
leaked.
them in the clubs.
Yeah,
like
right.
the Nicki record,
Right.
like they play it crazy in DC and different stuff. Like people be calling, yo, didn't you do this record that Nicki Minaj is on? I'm like, yeah, I did that. You know.
Right.
But
talk
yeah.
about it. Talk about the first place.
Well, it was just like a situation to where it was an independent artist. And at that time, like I said, I didn't have money. I didn't have nothing. So when I was going there and I was working with the artist, like her managers and them was like, here you go, TC. Here go a little something. And I'm like, okay, you know how you don't want to count the money in front of them?
Right. You want to
So
step to the bathroom.
You be going to the side a little bit, like, did he just, and then when I counted, I'm like, dang, he just gave me like $500. And so every time that I went in there, like, he was just handing me just like wads of money. And I'm like, dang, like, I can get money like this to just like, you know, vocal produce and write for your artists and stuff like that. And so Prophet, that's his name, 550 Music. Prophet was one of the people that constantly kept money in my pocket to where I was able to survive after a while of being in Atlanta. Because once he found out who I was, he was like, yo, you need to get here and start working with my artists, like play it, this, I'll make sure that you good. And so him, stan. Even though we didn't have records to come out, like he would fly me out to Miami, and put me up in mansions, and I mean like 10-bedroom mansions, and it'll be like, I have the master, his artist will have one of the rooms, and then his producers will have the other rooms, and I'll be there for like months at a time just writing and recording, and he will always just put money in my pocket. So, I've been blessed to be around people that always saw the talent in me as a young kid, and they always looked out for me. You know what I'm saying? Just like, look, I see you working, like you keeping your head down and you just go into it, and they always bless me. So it was crazy.
That's dope. So now let's talk. Let's keep walking now. So now you staying at my crib now, and we working on you. You come to me. I remember. I don't know. I think we was in a car ride, and he's like, "Yo, bro, I got this idea, this record, man."
Well, you know what? Actually, I was still staying at
Infinity House, because I picked you up. You right.
So
you right.
with that record, what happened was
that's
where I was at the point where I was about to move back to Kentucky.
You was about to go home.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this no more. I'm tired. I'm not getting no placements. And then Brandy, she was actually in Atlanta recording for like the Human album.
Yeah.
And I would go to the studio and they'd be like, man, we just met Brandy. I was like, what?
And why y'all didn't call me?
Y'all ain't even call me and let me know that she came to the studio. Y'all just gonna tell me in my face like when I walk in. Nah, she just left, literally. What?
Yep.
So it kept happening and kept happening. Everybody's like, yo, I just saw your girl Brandy. And I was just like, oh my God, it's not happening. Like just want to meet her. Just tell her I love her. And I was just over. I was just like, nothing's like really sticking. So I had a prayer. I remember having a prayer that night, and I was just like, God, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Like, is this like, what am I supposed to be doing in life? Like, am I supposed to be doing music? Like, give me something. Like, give me something. And I literally woke up out of my sleep, and the first person I called was actually Sounds.
Yep.
And I called Sounds, and I was like, yo, I have this idea, and I know how we're going to get on Brandy's album. And he was like, tell me.
Right.
And I broke it down to him. He was like, oh, my God. I was like, and I know who I want to do it with. And so that's the next day, because it was like late, and I know I could call Sounds like anytime because he'd be up, right?
He never sleeps.
So the next day, like, I called you, and I was just like, yo, I really have this idea. I think that we could really put this into motion. Like, I really believe in it, right? Because I felt like the dream just told me everything. Right?
Yep.
So we all met up that weekend, which was my birthday weekend, the 19th. My birthday's the 16th, but it was the 19th that Sunday.
On that Sunday, yeah.
We did acapella Something's Missing, and it was placed on her Monday.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And I remember you telling me the idea in the car when I came to pick you up.
Yeah.
And you was basically like, the name of the song is going to be acapella. You had the whole title. Acapella, Something is Missing, because the music is missing, but the music isn't missing because it was take 6-ish. The music was her vocal.
Right.
But we just didn't know how we was going to get there.
Yeah.
So we met at my crib. My wife cooked a huge dinner, big old lasagnas and salads, everything, and we went crazy. And Sounds didn't want to leave, didn't want to go home because he wanted to stay there and eat.
Let's do another one. Let's wait.
Yeah, he wanted to eat. But that literally, I remember you telling me about that the day before, and then we all met there, and Brandon Creed was the A&R name?
Yes, Brandon
That was
Creed.
his name?
Yeah.
Sounds had a relationship with Brandon Creed, I think. And Sounds sent the song to Brandon Creed. Right, literally, we finished recording.
Right. But I had a relationship with him, too. Because
that's you right.
I had
You
went
right.
to work with Menudo.
Menudo, you
and
right.
so
You right.
that was like my first time doing TV, was
Absolutely.
the MTV making the band Menudo.
Yep,
So
you
they
right.
flew me out to Orlando to work with the Latin group, right?
Yep.
And so he was taking me to the airport, and he was like, yo, so you're going to Atlanta. You're not going back home at this time. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what you doing in Atlanta? I was like, I'm working. Like, I want to write for Brandy. And he was like, Brandy? I was like, yeah, I love her. And so he was like, I just signed Brandy.
Yep, sure did.
I said, what? So we had that relationship, and he knew like,
Yeah, he knew that was your people's right there.
he was like, oh God, TC, if you hit me up about Brandy again, Jesus, like, he was just over it. So the good thing is, when that record was sent to him, Brandy was actually saying that she would love to do like a acapella kind of record.
Yep.
So it just
Worked
ended
out.
up,
It
yeah.
literally the next day, it was placed.
That's why I feel like it was definitely God that was
Absolutely.
kind of like, let me bless you real quick.
So that what the part of the story he's leaving out is, it was me. This was after the record was placed and it was recorded.
Yes.
And we was at the house working on, I don't know, we was working on somebody else, like another demo. It was me, a
Backstreet
writer,
Boys.
Backstreet Boy. No. Yeah,
What's the
Backstreet
Backstreet
Boy.
Boys?
Because Thurston came by. Thurston Hargrove came by the house.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, you better tell that.
So we at the crib in the studio working on this Backstreet Boys record. And Thurston over there. And TC phone, your phone rang, right?
Yeah. My phone.
And who was on the phone?
Yeah, it was Brandy.
It was Brandy calling him to tell him how dope the song was, and she can't wait for it to come out, and blah, 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 blah.
She's like, I'm gonna sing it just like you.
Just like you.
You did everything perfect.
So listen, we sitting in the studio, TC sitting in the middle of the floor, Indian style, and just bust out crying. Thurston's like a guy from the East Coast. He real like, what's up, son? Yo, whatever. He was like, yo son, is this cat crying for real, son? Right now in the studio? Man, listen, when I tell you we talked about him for about a month after that, teacher's like, I don't care. Y'all can laugh at me. You remember that? We was laughing so hard.
I didn't care. I didn't.
He didn't care because what it was it showed was the passion, because a lot of times people do things for checks, and people don't understand opportunities are not always attached to a check. So to me, that showed me if we got $0 or $1 million, it didn't matter to him. It was the opportunity that was presented to him to do something that he was looking forward to. And a lot of times, writers, producers, and artists overlook the opportunities because it's not attached to a check, not knowing that there's a bigger opportunity behind it, because off of that song coming out and the noise it made in the industry, not like, it was a single and all that. The industry part of it was so big. Like everybody in the music industry was talking about this record. What it did was it created work for all four of us for years after that. And it was money that the money we made off that song was cool, but it didn't compare to the money we made all the other records that came after that because of that one song. Now, to me, that says make sure you take advantage of all opportunities, because your best ability is your availability. You have to be available for all opportunities and prepare for when they present themselves, and then you don't turn the wrong thing down. I ain't saying take everything, but
yeah, you got to feel it.
Yes,
it's got to be a
absolutely.
passion. And for
Absolutely.
me, when I came into the industry, I just wanted, one, the goal for me was to work with people that I was inspired by.
Yes.
And I didn't care if I got paid for it. I would be outside if I had to sleep on the corner to work with these people. I'm doing it. I'm taking the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because for me, writing for the artists that I loved was kind of like me paying homage to them for inspiring me to do what I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I never took anything that I did with those artists lightly, because when I was at my lowest points, those were the artists that I listened to.
Right.
When I felt like I wasn't good enough, or that, I was going through those moments, which we talked about, like, they pulled me out of that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so I've always had the respect for the people. And that's why, like, to this day, anybody that has inspired me in some kind of way, I always say it, regardless of the relationship,
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. So now let's move forward, man. So Brandy come out, boom. Next thing you know, you in the studio with J-Lo. You in the studio with Justin Bieber. You in the studio with
the Backstreet Boys.
the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
We in the studio with the Backstreet Boys.
Because we was actually in the studio with the Backstreet Boys before the Brandy record came out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that Backstreet Boys record originally wasn't for the Backstreet Boys. Remember, we was trying to get on Leona Lewis.
Absolutely.
And we sent it to DJ Wayne Williams. And at the time, we was like, because at the time we cool with Wayne because Wayne is Jacob's A&R. And we like, man, this record, this is going to be for Leona. At the time, Leona Lewis was an artist from London or something,
Right.
UK, and she was doing big things over here in the States. So we was trying to get on her album. And the song's called Shattered. So we talking to Wayne like, this going on her album, blah, 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 blah. Wayne was like, all right, let me live with it. So this how God worked. Again, stepping in on our behalf. We send Wayne a record. He's playing a record. There is I forgot the Barbara something Whites. I can't think of her name, but she's like over everything over there at Jive, Sony. And she comes into the to Wayne's office while he's playing the record that we sent him. And she said, "Who is this? You know, whatever, whatever." TC, by the way, all the songs TC pretty much be singing every song. So she like, "This record is crazy. You know, this record will be perfect." He's like, "Perfect for what? This record. This is a submission for Leona Lewis." She was like, This is recouping for the Backstreet Boys. Wayne Carter said, "What y'all think about that song going on the Backstreet Boys?" He's like, "The Backstreet Boys? Ain't no way they gonna be able to sing this song. The song too high, you know, because TC singing, his range is unbelievable. So we're like, there's no way that they're gonna be able to take this record." Wayne was like, "Well,
They want to do it.
They want to do it. So what y'all? This was Tuesday. What y'all got going on Thursday and Friday?" We like, "This week?" We like, "Nothing. We trying to get a placement." So we end up going to L.A.
To LA, yeah.
to record the record.
And that was my first time ever. See, I'm the kid of the group.
Right.
So they're like my big brothers and big sisters, like him and Shay. So I'm also learning also while I'm with them because I don't know nothing. I haven't been nowhere. I had never went to New York. I had never been to LA. So these trips that we were taking was my first time ever being out of Atlanta.
Right.
Or Kentucky. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like Atlanta was big for me. Miami was big for me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to LA.
Right.
So that was a big moment for me, you
Absolutely.
know? Yeah.
And they and Howie, Brian, and Nick, all of them took to us, man. They treated us well. One of the guys bought a. This is when the Jaguar had changed their body style. I think Howie had bought a Jaguar and was racing it up and down the street at the studio. That's how much money these gentlemen had. They were just buying. Let me get that. They literally had a semi truck with cars on them. They would pull them off and test drive them at the studio. Like we were seeing stuff we never saw before. Video games came. A video game was coming, like John Madden, whatever year it was coming out, but it didn't come out for 2 months. Nick Carter got the copy of it. They playing it in the studio. We was like, what kind of life do these people live? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. But I say all that to say, it opened us up to a whole nother area. We were writing, R&B writers.
We had some pop stuff, too.
No, we did.
But I was the pop head. I think I was more so the
Exactly.
pop head out of the group because they will, like, R&B everything.
Everything.
Like,
The longest rose.
Like, oh, my God. Like, that, you know, I loved it because I was the vocal. Like, I did everything. So, but pop, like, Backstreet Boys, that was, for me, that was like, oh, my God, Britney Spears, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like I'm in it. I'm ready.
So what I did was, me being the business guy of the group, I went to Google them. You know what I'm saying? So I look, I'm like, Backstreet Boys. I knew who they were because my little cousins used to like they song, and they had some joints. I wanted that. I like it that way, whatever it was. And they had some.
I want it that
way. Yeah, like they had some hits. Now I did not know that their hit records, my bad, their hit records were wrote by the group Full Force, who I knew from growing up as a youngster. They had a lot of dope records growing up, but then they were also in house parties. Like they were like the big bullies in house party. I didn't know that these guys were the ones writing all the hits for Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys. So they was filthy rich. They came up in the R&B world. So to me, it was just amazing to see that we, as in black people, were doing this music for these artists.
Absolutely.
I thought it was amazing.
Britney, all of them, they was working with black creators, yeah.
And so that opened my eyes after I researched these gentlemen that this is something that we could do. And then I realized when we went to work with them, I think they had sold like 200 million records at that time before we got a chance to get in with these gentlemen. And to know that we were going to actually be on their album, I was like, man.
That was actually unheard too, because Backstreet Boys, you know, if you know them, it's Max Martin.
Yep.
Like they're going to stick to the certain producers and writers to write their stuff.
Yeah, correct.
And for us as, you know, black creatives, new to the industry, coming in and actually working with the Backstreet Boys, that was big because there was like nobody really on the album that's like, you know, a little different. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that was a big thing for us, but it just lets you know that it's not really about the name every time. It's about how great the record is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so now we moving forward, man. Let's get into this Justin Bieber thing, man. How did you get that Justin Bieber situation, man? I wasn't a part of this. This was when he called and told me, like, see, you never gonna believe this. I was like, yeah, I actually would believe that, TC. Come on, bro. But
I was still, listen, all my friends know, like, when stuff happened for me, like, I will call them, like, man, you will never guess what just happened. They just like, okay, TC, all right.
Right.
But for me, it was new for me, you
Right.
know, and I also had to learn that every friend is not the friend to tell that stuff to.
Absolutely.
Because now they're looking at you like this dude just always bragging about who he working with. And for me, purely it was just like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Because I feel like everybody was rooting for me in the struggle, but now when everything's happening, now it's bragging. And I'm just
Right.
like, I'm not bragging. I'm just excited. Like,
Absolutely.
I can't believe this is, happening.
Happening.
So I call you and I tell you everything that was going on. It's when I've just signed my deal with Sony, and they
ATV.
asked me who I wanted to work with. And I remember I said, I want to work with Tamar, Tony, Beyonce, Darkchild, and so like I had a list. And it was like, okay, let me reach out to Rodney, and see this, whatever. And so people don't know this, but like while I was a kid putting my music out on these different sites,
clicks and stuff, yeah.
Rodney would bring his writers in and be like, yo, listen to this kid. All his writers. And they're listening like, yo, this dude is crazy. Like, he just covered this song and he covered this song. And he was like, this is special. This is special. You know what I'm saying? Anisha told me that herself. And I'm like, he really did that? Yes, he did. So when the opportunity came, he was just like, yeah, bring him out. And so I was only supposed to work with Rodney for like a week, right? Yeah, the records, just every record was just coming out. She Don't Like the Lights was actually the first record that I ever wrote with Rodney. And I did like another record, it was plays, and then I did another record, it was like it was just, he's like, I'm gonna keep you a month. I was there for like a month working with Rodney, and just like that alone was just crazy in my head, because I'm like, I'm out here living my dream. I just signed my publishing deal, and I'm working with Rodney, one of my favorite producers growing up. And like he got me in the studio working on Justin Bieber. Not only that, he like, yo, I'm gonna play this beat. Tell me what you think. And it's like, boom, down, 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 down. That's it. I'm like, okay, it's a loop, right? So I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah, I need you to write this for Kiera. She coming in here tomorrow. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm like, okay. So I go in, I write a whole record to an 8-second loop. Bridge, verse, and then on the bridge, I did all a cappella with harmonies and arrangements and stuff like that. And I cut the bridge, and then I went back into the hook. And so he came in about a couple hours and listened to it. It was like, whoa, like you just arranged the bridge on your own? Yeah, give me a click track. I can arrange anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he was just blown away by that. And I think at that moment, he was kind of testing me to see, like, are you really great at what you do? And
Stop right there. He was testing him to see if he was great at what he do, which means all of those hours that he put in, he was prepared. As long as you're prepared, when God provides you the moment, you're ready to be successful in that moment. It's a reason why they have football practice, basketball practice, and so on. Or you going on tour, you rehearse 9 hours a day for 2 months to go on tour, because when the opportunity presents itself for you to show what you've done, you're prepared. So while you're waiting for all the artists out there that are writers or producers that's out there that's in those funks that we were in coming up in our careers, the reason why certain things happen for us is because we didn't cry, mope, be down. We did all those things, but
I
we
probably
worked.
did more than anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I
we
was
worked.
the sensitive one. I cried about everything. Like,
But we worked though at the same time.
Absolutely. We
was
kept
preparing.
working, yeah.
So my thing is, even while you're going through the valleys, make sure you're preparing. So when you start on the uptrend, it's not luck for you. It's a muscle memory. That, just like you go to the gym. You go to the gym to look better. You can't just go for a week and think you're going to lose 50 pounds. You consistently do it. So one thing about any situation that comes, if you're prepared for it, you're consistent in what you're doing, when you actually get into the game, you're going to be nervous, but it's not going to be nerve-wracking. There's a difference between being nervous and being nerve-wracking, because now you can't perform at that state of mind. Continue, my brother. I just want to point that out because you just dropped the gem and I didn't want to miss it.
No, of course. And so that month was done, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't hear nothing about the Justin Bieber record. So I'm thinking like, oh, well, he didn't do it, man. So Justin like dropped like the track listing for the actual album, and Rodney sent a message like, yeah, tell TC congratulations because he's on Justin Bieber's album, and I'm just like, well, I saw She Don't Like the Light. So when I was looking at the track listing before he sent that message, I said, man, he got a song, She Don't Like the Lights. Did they steal it from me? Because like, who else got a song title like that? I'm thinking, like, I go to my manager, like, Cersei, the song that I wrote is on this album. Like, oh, he was like, yeah, Rodney he just sent me a message. Yeah, you on the Justin Bieber album. I was like,
Geeked.
I called Chad. Bro, guess what?
Yeah.
Man, I'm on Justin Bieber album.
We went crazy. I'm like, boy, listen, loan me some money when you get that check now.
300,000 first week.
See what I'm saying? Look at God.
Units, and that's before streaming.
Yep.
And a million pre-orders.
See what I'm saying? You
packages.
can't beat that.
It's crazy.
Preparation. That's when preparation and opportunity meets, man. Things like this happen. Now, let's talk about the business of music, man. As a writer, I just want you to get in some game about splits and things of that nature, man, because I think it's important that you're getting on all these albums. Think about getting on all these people's albums, but you're not getting the proper split or the proper payout because you don't know your business. So when you do it, not working with us, not working with me, it's different. Working with anybody outside of like your circle of people you work with, what's your process of the business side of the music, of writing? Because I want them to understand that. That's important.
Well, I will say I had to learn as I went because like I did things because I actually genuinely loved it, and I created relationships with artists. So I found myself doing a lot of stuff for free.
Yep.
Basically because of the relationship, and it's kind of I didn't mind it, but also when you're not really making money like that and you got bills and different stuff like that, and everybody's eating around you, but you the only one that's not eating, those favors kind of be like, okay, can you throw me something? Like,
right.
maybe, like, yeah. So I had to actually learn, and to be honest with you, I feel like my biggest lesson was like 2017.
Gotcha.
And so that's so many years. That's what, 5-6 years of since like the Brandy album.
Yeah.
Well, more than that.
Yeah,
almost
like
about 8, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, about 8.
So all the way up into then, like I'm still learning about the business, learning about publishing, learning about how all of these people own your music. And so for me, my biggest thing was, aside from my emotional state,
Yes.
because like when you first do a deal, you're thinking like, oh my God, like I'm about to sign and I'm about to do this and I'm about to do that. But the reality is when you do those deals, you still have to put in the work. Like these big companies are not going to be like, oh, you know what? We're going to put you in here with this and you're going to do that. Like I literally came to the table with the placements.
Right.
Like, look, I can do this on my own. And so going into it, I kept that same mentality, is like keep doing what I'm doing and actually working and creating these situations for myself, because the actual publishing company wasn't doing it for me.
Absolutely.
Right? But they are collecting the money. And then also you also learn, like when you put records out, oh, this is a Christmas album, this doesn't count towards your deal, but they're taking the money.
Right.
Oh, this record was released over in the UK. It don't count towards your recoupment, but they're taking the money.
And so what he's saying, recoupment. So you get an advance, 200,000, 250, 500, whatever your advance is as a song, as a publishing deal. In your deal, there are a certain amount of, there's either amount of time you sign, or there's an amount of percent you sign. So if I'm a producer and TC is a songwriter, I produce the record, I own 50% of the song. He writes it, he owns 50% of the song. If you do a publishing deal for 5 songs, when you hear songs, you think it's 5 songs. No, the word song means 100%.
So 500%.
500%. Yes. So if me and TC are doing songs and we're placing records, we both have to place 10 records because I own 50 and he owns 50. And 50 times 10 is 500. So they're getting 10 total songs of us, from us. Right. So I want you to understand the business side.
And that's if you get 50%.
That's
Because
if.
then
Right.
when you place it on the artist, they'll be like, well, the artist wants 20%.
20%.
So therefore, like, and a lot of times when it happened, it was taken from the writer. So
It'd
that
never
was
be the
me.
producer side,
So the producer, like, I'm not giving it to him.
Right.
And so I'll be like, I don't care. I'll give them the 20
you
or
want-
30%.
we want to get the placement.
Because I want the placement, you
Right.
know. But I kind of feel like, you know, if it's 20% that the
You
artist
get
want,
10, I
10,
get
10,
10.
right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
We both leave with 40. Why am I, you know?
Exactly.
So that's another thing that I had to learn also.
Absolutely.
And then, like, once you do that and everybody's taking percentage of your publishing and stuff like that, you could end up with like 90 some dang on songs that they're collecting money off of,
Absolutely.
and you still in your deal.
And then you got to also know in your deal, like he was just speaking about, if a song is in TV and film, to us that's a placement. You getting paid. It don't count towards your deal unless you negotiated that. Or if it's on a Christmas album, if you didn't negotiate Christmas albums in there
Or EPs.
Because
a lot of people didn't include EPs, even though it's like 7, 8 songs on the record.
Absolutely.
Because it's an EP, it's not really counted towards an album.
So make sure that if you guys end up doing these deals, one, you hire me to negotiate for you first, because you never go wrong. But then two, make sure that you know what the legal terminology is that's for you and against you in the contract. That way you know the pros and cons of whatever you're doing. And then if you're going to go for it, if you're going to do a 5-song deal and you know you get 25%, normally 25% of a song, you know it takes you 4 songs to equal 100%.
Absolutely.
So you got to do that times 5. So that's 20 placements you got to get. Know that in your mind, so then you know how to negotiate your money. And if you think, okay, well, 20 songs might take me 3 years to whatever, and you know your living expenses is $50K a year, you want to make sure you be able to run that number, your advance up, so that you can take care of yourself and not have to worry about paying bills. So there's a whole lot of things that go on in this that you got to look for on the business side, because everybody like the creative side, but I'm the money man.
I mean,
want to make sure
real.
it's right.
Listen, I'm real about my business.
Ain't
okay?
no question.
So when I did my deal, which I felt like was a great deal, you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? They offered me $250,000 for 3 songs,
And that's great.
and that was kind of like whoa.
And you write your whole song. It ain't like you need
yeah,
nobody to
I
write
write
a song.
50% of my songs.
Exactly.
Like,
So that's
a lot of my placements is just me
just
solely,
you.
right?
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't a bad thing for me, you know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And so the thing is, I had an artist deal,
Yep.
right? So I never thought about signing a publishing deal, and we actually had this conversation because that wasn't the first time that I was offered all these deals.
Right.
I want to say like a couple of years, even when we were in our group, I had went to Miami to work or something, and I came back with 6 publishing deal offers.
Yep.
And I turned them all down because I was like, well, if my team is not going to be a part of the deal, then I don't want to do a publishing deal.
Right.
And they was like, wow, TC, like,
I like, man, go get that
Man,
money,
go
man.
on and get that money, boy.
Man, we'll be there anyway, brother. That ain't gonna stop us from writing
but
records.
you know, it really wasn't about the money for me, honestly, because I kind of felt like we, you know, just like I said, you looked out for me, and you know, I was never the person that's gonna step over anybody to get ahead. I'm
Absolutely.
feeling like if we doing this together, then we all gonna go together.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I was like, no, I'm not gonna take it.
Right.
And so I turned down all of them,
Yep.
and I want to say another round of publishers, some of the same. And the manager was like, TC,
You got to take these deals, boy. You tripping.
TC,
Yep.
I know that you want to do the group and just this, whatever. And so you remember that call we had?
I remember it.
And so we had a call, and it was like, listen, TC needs to take this deal. You know, the group, he just needs to do it. So we just gonna not do the group no more.
That's exactly.
And I'm like, oh my God, they gonna hate me because they gonna feel like I done left them. And I'm just like emotional and stuff. Like, man, I don't want to do that because I don't want them to think like I'm leaving them.
Right.
And so I finally was like, all right, let's just do it. And we already had an agreement.
we knew what it was.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, no matter what happens, like if it's a situation, like I'll just pull you in on it. And
when I tell you that man was pulling me into, yo, where you at? What city you in? Slide to the studio right quick. I come in, the song will be done. TC be like, oh, this is my brother Chad. Y'all say hello. Hey, can you change this harmony arrangement? I'm like, why? What's wrong with it? He like, shut up and just do what I tell you to do. So that was his way of saying, you own the song now. You know what I'm saying? It'd be crazy. It'd be like crazy stuff. I walk. We were in L.A. I think, and we was at a record plant. No, yeah, record plant with the Aristocrats.
Okay. Yeah.
And he come to the studio. I come through. Hey, I need you to mix these records. Do this. You got 5% on every record. For what, bro? Because you mixed the records. Just do your thing. All right, cool. Send me an invoice for $13,000 too. Why? I'm like, what? Like, he was doing crazy stuff that you don't normally do if you're a greedy individual. He was just doing things on the lookout. So the key about it is when you're loyal to people, the right people, it'll come back around to you, and you don't even, because I wasn't expecting nothing, but the fact that our conversation we had, I'm like, bro, get this money. I'm going to be good anyway. That's how we were saying. And you got to make sure that you continue to treat people. My grandfather told me this years ago, treat the garbage man like he or she is the CEO. Absolutely. Because they just might be one day. And that's so true, because one time I was working at a record plant, and there was a intern. We used to call him the Mexican Michael Jackson. That was a joke we had going on in there, right? But his name was Antonio. It was his first week working at a record plant as an intern. And it was me and Rico working with Jamie Foxx. But we treated him as if he was a part of our team, because our rule in the studio was everybody's energy, I don't care who it is, has to be up, because it'll affect the record. Absolutely. And the room, yeah. So we was treating the intern like he was a producer or Brian Michael Cox or whoever. So we did not know that this was his first week. We just was treating him how we treat everybody. 5 years later, I go back to that same studio. Antonio is running record plant. He is the person who runs the studio now. He's no longer the intern. And he said, man, I just seen Rico last week. I asked how you were doing. I was in there. I can't remember who I was working with. He was like, man, I just want to tell you what I told Rico. I want to thank you for treating. That was my first week I worked with you guys. And y'all treated me so well that it encouraged me to continue on. He said, I thought everybody was going to be like y'all, but I realized y'all were one of a kind, how y'all treated me. Yeah. Now, if you ever need any one of the, because it was a record, it was Westlake. I said the wrong studio. It was Westlake. It's like 2 or 3 Westlake studios. He said in L.A. He said, I run all of them. If you ever in L.A. and you need a room, call me. I'll make sure you have a room in any one of them for $0. It costs like $1,500 a day up in that joint. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to just treat people like they're the CEO, even if they're not the CEO, is my point, because you never know where it's going to go. So like let's go into this international songwriting, because this is what the people came for. How did you get your start in the international side? Obviously, we had records that our records did well over, like our Backstreet Boys record. A lot of our records did well overseas. But this is a different thing, because you're actually working with international artists. They're not American. So let's talk about, how did you get that opportunity?
To be honest with you, 2017, I decided that I was going to quit music. Mm-hmm. I went into like this whole depression, and I speak about this all the time, so I just be candid. Like, I was very suicidal.
Yes.
And I kind of felt like everything that I've done in the industry, like, I've always looked out for everybody, and I've always done the right thing when it comes to like treating people right and trying to look out for everybody. But then it also put me in situations to where I'm always getting the less out of everything. So as a songwriter, to be honest with you, like, we're the last person that like really gets what we're supposed to get.
Absolutely.
So when we do a record, you know, they'll pay the producer $25,000, $10,000, $15,000, $30,000, depending on who you're working with.
Right.
And then it's kind of like, well, we paid for the record because we gave the money to the producer. And now the songwriter who wrote the record, and a lot of times I was placing these records myself. I was engineering these records. I was singing these records. I was demoing these records. My vocals was on the demo. I was mixing these records. I was doing all of these things, and I wasn't getting paid for it.
Right.
So I was putting other producers in the position to get all of this money, and I'm like, yo, y'all not going to kick back something because the label is not trying to pay me.
A writer's fee, right.
They're like, well, I got bills, bro. And I'm like, you just got $15,000, $20,000 on this record that I wrote, that I placed, that I engineered, that I vocal produced, my vocals is still on that record.
Even though it's out in the world.
Even though it's out in the world, and you don't even want to give me $1,000 out of the 15.
Right.
So to me, that kind of made me be like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of put me into the place where I was like, I'm kind of like done.
Yep.
Cause it's like, everybody's getting like money except for me.
Right.
I gotta wait 2 years for my ASCAP to get publishing.
Right.
And then you work with some people and they won't even put your name on the publishing. And then you look up and you're not even getting credit for these records. And money has been generated for these records.
Yep.
And I'm not seeing a dime from it.
Yep.
That I kind of feel like that hurt me the most.
Right.
And it just made me be like, music is not for me, because I feel like the people that try to do good and do right by people and be honest about it and not try to slime ball people out of anything and just be real with them, they're treated the worst.
That's a fact.
And anybody can turn it and perceive it how they want to, but
absolutely.
When you move right, you always have receipts.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? And you can always pull it out. But the thing about me is I never wanted to be one of those people that was jaded by the industry, but I also knew that I deserved better.
Absolutely.
Right? So I quit. I went through this whole period of not wanting to do music. I separated myself from almost everybody in the industry except like, Chad and stuff. And I went to Miami. And I was just there, I was just like in a weird place, And I got a call, and they was like, "Yo, there's this record that we heard online. We really want to buy this record and put it out." And this was, I want to say, November 22nd, right before Thanksgiving, 2018. I'm like, okay, cool. It was a song that I have for my album, but I was like, I'm done with music. I don't want to do it no more.
Right.
And I was like, y'all can have it. Y'all can have it. And I was like, really? Okay, cool. They sent me like my money the same day. I'm like, oh my God, I ain't never got paid this quick. I'm like, Jesus, what I gotta do to get more? But no, I was just like, y'all can have it. I don't want to do it. I really don't want to do music, because my love. I kind of feel like that's what motivated me more so when I first got into the industry, is the people that I loved, and just like really being in the industry, because I genuinely loved being like just creating music and creating music with people. It wasn't even really about the money.
Absolutely.
But it was also about the respect.
Respect, that was there.
And treating people right and treating people good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so once I felt like it was just like nobody really like treat me right, or I'm in these deals where people was taking my money and I don't know that I'm in these deals. And I signed as an artist, so now you own my publishing. So when you do the publishing deal, that's $250. The lawyer took $50,000, and then you did the deal with as an artist, so they took the $100,000 that they give up front, and now you with $50,000. Then you with a CPA, and they're taking money out of their half, and then they're sending your manager 20% out of that $225. Like you only got like $20,000.
That's crazy.
That was an eye opener. I felt like that's what always happened to me.
Right.
And so, sent them the record. The record was out in like 3 days, which I'm like, wait, what?
They went ham.
Like, I didn't even know that you can put records out on
That
DSPs that quick. You know what I'm saying? They gave me the money. They mixed the record, recorded the record the same day, and they put it out like within a day or two, literally.
Crazy.
And so I was working with these producers and the Aristocrats, and they were like, TC, they really want you to come to Asia. I was like, nah, I don't feel like I will be an asset to it, because, like, I don't feel like I got it anymore. I feel like I don't love it no more.
Right.
And they was like, is you crazy? Like, they want to fly you out to Asia. You always wanted to go to Asia.
Right.
They're going to fly you out. They're going to pay for everything. You just have to go and write. And I'm like, I wasn't confident in it, because I feel like lost your passion for it. Yeah, I just lost my love for it, to be honest with you. And they was like, bro, I'm not going to let you, like,
mess this up.
Like, you're coming. Send me your passport. That's exactly what they did. Sent them my passport. And I was in Asia in February, and we had the
You was there for,
conversation
like,
in January,
months.
and I was there for a month. Actually,
Yep.
I was there for 3.5 weeks. Um, and I just remember being on the plane and just like thinking to myself, like, I don't know how I'm gonna pull this off because I haven't been writing, and I separated myself from music, and I felt like I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna bomb, you know.
Right, right.
And I just remember being on that plane and just praying about it and just being like, God, if you want me to still do music, show me. It's one of the actually, it's like a full circle moment, like when the Brandy thing and I prayed about it and
Yeah.
he gave it to me, right?
Right.
And I prayed to him about it and I was just like, if it's something that I'm supposed to do, show me. Went there 3 weeks, made 40 records. 40 records in 3 weeks. Left Asia, only had $200 in my account. I kind of felt like I really don't want to go because I ain't really got no money like that to be going.
Right.
And I was like, if I gotta eat ramen noodles every night, that's what I'm gonna do.
Word.
Let's just try it, Went there 3 weeks, did 40 records, left with 20, almost 20 some records placed before I even got on the plane to go back. Placed. I got off the plane trying to figure out where I was going to go. Because I'm like, I called my friend like, yo, I just need a couple hundred right now. Because, thought I was going to have to figure out the hotel. I literally landed with $20-some thousand in my account.
Off of the records you placed. So you knew you knew what it was.
I was like, I cried about it.
Absolutely.
I cried about it. Because I kind of felt like there was, it was like a situation to where it was just like, this is, okay.
Finally.
I get it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I kind of feel like a lot of creatives go through that moment where they kind of doubt themselves a lot.
Absolutely.
Because you really have to have the faith and the passion to do this. Because it's really not the faint of industries.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Yes, sir.
When you get into the industry, you feel like everybody's going to love you and they're going to embrace you and they're going to look out for you, especially the older generation.
Yep.
And the reality is, like, nobody has to like you.
At all.
Nobody has to.
Yep.
And that's the reality. Don't go into the industry thinking you're just going to be friends with this person, you're going to be friends with that. They don't have to like you. And I feel like when I came into the industry, I wanted to be loved.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
wanted to be embraced by the people that I loved, and that's just not the reality of
Absolutely.
it. And I had to come to terms with that myself, And yeah, it was just an eye opener for me, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Okay.
From there, I was spending like 6 months out of the year
Over
going
there.
back and forth to Asia. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the difference between how business is done in the United States and how business is done over there, because there's a difference. What I mean by that is how you can sometimes get writers' fees if you're a writer here. They ain't gonna pay them over there.
Oh, they don't.
Oh, that's over.
No.
So you got to make a deal with the producers before you start writing to their stuff. This is my writer's fee,
Well,
or I'm not writing to your stuff.
Here's the thing, though. This is the crazy thing about it, right? When I first flew over there, it's just all a symbolic kind of situation because it's like I was in coach, right? They're like, oh, let's give this little guy a shot, Left with those placements, and they're like, whoa. This dude came, he's great with this, he's great with that, and they saw me do everything just like up close. And a lot of the Asians was like, this guy is like a genius. And I'm like, y'all think I'm a genius? Y'all think I'm a genius? And so, it kind of raised my confidence in a little
Absolutely.
bit. You know what I'm saying? And so going over there, also meeting the artists, and they're actually fans of my music.
That makes it better.
That was like,
Yeah.
wow, you know who I am? And they're like, I see your viral videos. I follow your YouTube. These are huge K-pop artists
Yep.
that listen to my records. You know what I'm saying? And so it was a confidence boost, right? So now coming over there, it's like first class. You
Get to lay down.
Let's make sure I get to lay down.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like my butt was going numb, like when I was sitting on the seat when I first went over there. Now I'm like, I'm just gonna lay down and take
Watch
a
me some
nap.
TV,
You know,
sip me some wine. Yeah, there ain't nothing to it.
yeah, man. And so, you know, everything just started being different. You know what I'm saying? And over there, I will say this: over there, the artists are appreciative to the creators.
Yes.
Here, everybody wants to be, oh, well, you know, I wrote this when I was in my bathtub,
And they ain't wrote
and
a
I da
line.
da da, you know,
They ain't wrote a
and
lyric.
you sitting home thinking like, well, I just, even though I got the demo,
Right.
even though I sung the demo, like, okay, you can
Right.
have it, whatever.
Right.
You know, you don't trip about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just
Do
pay
you,
me. I'm
right?
cool, yeah.
You just want to make sure that you get your credit and you get your
check.
whatever,
Yes,
you know.
sir.
And so they're very big on making sure you're properly credited for everything that you do. But also because of the things that I went through in the industry here,
Yes.
it kind of set standards for me now doing business
When you
in another country. Like, I'm not doing this.
Right.
And so now it's kind of like anything that places, I'm getting money off of it. I'm getting my fee.
And you
This
place
is already
a lot.
set.
And,
Like,
and let's say you place a lot of records over there, a whole lot.
yes.
If you write 50, 30 of them gone, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
So it's totally different. You know what I'm saying? The business side is totally different because
Absolutely.
they don't pay songwriters over there.
Absolutely.
But I already let it be known, if we're gonna work, I'm getting paid.
Absolutely.
I'm getting paid just like everybody. Because if you getting 20 records placed over there, that's a lot of money that you getting.
And that's
And
a
you
lot of
saying that I can't get a
Getting none,
V?
yeah, it's over with.
No, I'm not waiting a year to get my money. No, I'm not
Absolutely.
doing that. I want the advance and I want the publishing.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think because I was stern about that, there was like, that's what TC wants.
Yep.
And they made sure to look out for it. They make sure I get my money for singing backgrounds. I even learned how to sing Korean in harmonies. Nah, man, listen, I was in there, okay? Listen, they was paying me for everything. They'll send me sessions of the artists singing, and they'll be like, just do you. And I literally sing the harmonies in Korean. Like, I'm reading it like, okay.
That's how you do it, though.
Yeah, that is actually Korean, by the way.
See what I'm saying?
However, you know, that it's like a challenge for me, right?
Absolutely.
So things are new for me, and I'm excited about it, and I'm starting to regain my love for
And you working with
music
the
again,
biggest
right?
of the biggest artists over there, too. That's the key. You're not coming over there working with, like, the C notes of the Korean pop.
whatever.
You working with, like, the Beyoncés of the pop. And
EXO, if people know who BTS is,
Yes.
EXO is BTS before BTS.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
No, then that's not a slight
slight
to
at
BTS
all.
at all.
At all,
But
yeah.
EXO was like the
They was first.
biggest
Yeah.
K-pop group ever.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And BTS has just went and just did their thing because they're more international. But over there, EXO is still them people, you know? I had the pleasure of writing their last single, co-writing their last single, and the album is sold 1.3 million in pre-orders before the album came out.
That's crazy.
And when we think about pre-orders,
Yep.
that's actually physical albums. That's
Yeah,
not streams.
it's actual. Yeah, exactly.
That's
I was about to
actual
say that.
albums. It's
Yep.
like you get a booklet, and it's like a whole book
how
of
you be back in the
pictures,
day. Yep.
credits.
Yep.
Like it's a whole movie. So I remember getting my first booklet and being like, oh my God, like
Yep.
this is how y'all do it. Like we get the jewel case and we open it,
Open
we
up.
excited to pull that little pamphlet
Yeah,
out and
to
we
read.
read it
You
with
see
the
your
lyrics
name.
and stuff, right?
Yeah.
They got the lyrics, they got the credits in there, they got pictures, homie, like, you know,
Yeah.
they good, you
Right.
know? And so there was a huge moment, 1.3 million in pre-orders.
That's crazy.
And then because my name was just going so crazy, like their albums are different because they don't do 14, 15 songs.
Right.
That's an album, right? But they do mini albums. So it's like 5 songs, 5, 6 songs. So 5, 6 songs, 1.3 million pre-orders. It's not being split 10, 15
10
different ways.
Yeah, so you getting more money per song. Absolutely.
So it's
So basically,
you know,
he said, if I ever get broke, I just need to ask for a loan. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it.
Listen,
It's on the camera, right?
listen. You know the crazy thing about it is like I'm restarting.
Right. On a big scale, though.
Yeah, I'm restarting.
Yeah, on a big scale.
You know, and I've been blessed. I've
Absolutely.
been blessed because coming from where I was to going into a new situation, like God has just always kept doors open for me.
Yes, sir.
Even though people has tried to shut them so many times, He's always made a way for me to just walk into somewhere else to where I'm appreciated for what I bring to the table. And the biggest thing is actually knowing what you bring to the table. Because I kind of feel like when I was in the industry working for a lot of people in the industry, I kind of felt like I didn't know my worth.
Absolutely.
So when you don't know your worth, that allows people to treat you however they want to treat you because you don't have boundaries or standards for yourself. So when you start setting boundaries for yourself, people look at you as the problem because they're not used to you sticking up for yourself.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when I learned that, look, I'm bringing the actual table to the table.
Yeah.
If I'm writing and I'm producing and I'm engineering and I'm singing backgrounds, I'm demoing and I'm mixing and there's 7 different jobs that you have to pay 7 different people.
Yep.
But because I'm doing everything
right
myself, you don't want to credit me for everything and you don't want to pay me for everything. It's a difference. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn that everything that I do deserves to be compensated for.
Right.
Everything. And I deserve to get credited for everything that I do because I do a lot.
Yep.
You know? And so I didn't know my worth. And I think that was the biggest thing in how I was able to,
change the situation for yourself.
Yeah, I had to change it. I had to change it because when you continuously stay in the situation because you just want to be liked or you just want everybody to be like, oh, he's not going to cause a problem. Just give him anything and he's going to take it. That doesn't set you up to be great.
Absolutely.
It just sets you to be living paycheck to paycheck.
Agreed.
Because you want to make everything kosher, you want everything to smooth out.
Absolutely.
Nah, don't do that. Go after what you're worth, and get people that actually believe in you to go get it. Because as the talent, a lot of times we can't really fight for what we really want because we have these relationships with these artists.
Yes.
And we don't want to create complications. But when you're not getting paid, what am I supposed to do? I have to get a lawyer now because now it's 5-6 months and I don't have a check.
Absolutely.
And the album's out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to.
But I don't have a choice.
I don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
so I never did anything because, like, oh, you got to pay. It was never that. It was always, I just want to be paid properly for all the work that I do. That's it. That's it.
And that's how you should always be. So this part of our, this is a treat. This is something different we doing, right? TC talked about, I'm going, y'all put the camera on him because I'm about to do something. So TC talked about a couple songs that were done. And what I want to do is something different. I want you guys to hear a piece. Oh, I can see now. There's people out here. Okay, what's up, y'all? Can't see nothing up there.
We can't see nothing. I'm sorry.
Up there, it looked like you're looking at stars. You can't see nothing. So I'm going to play, because TC tell y'all he do everything. So I'm going to play the demo of a record. And then I'm going to play the actual record that came out. Chris, are you in the house? Come on over here, bro. Because Chris know how to run this. That's why I'm calling. So, Chris, it's already in order. Just watch my signal. We just go in order. Boom, boom, boom. All right? Yeah. So, this is for the people that's in the house. And I want to thank everybody who live streamed us because obviously these are songs that are out. So that are owned by different labels and entities. So we can't play it on the stream. So I thank y'all so much for joining us. This is for the people who actually are in the building. I wanted to give them something special for showing up because I didn't want to, you know what I'm saying, just show you some love. You could have been anywhere, but you came to show up with us. So for all those who came out, who are on joining us via Facebook Live, Instagram Live, wherever we are, I want to tell you thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate y'all for logging on. And one thing about a legacy, it is not what you leave for people. A legacy is what you leave in people. And one thing about a dream is it never expires. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for logging in. Y'all be blessed.